Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix, a streaming service, releases the official trailer for the Mr. McMahon docuseries about Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, Dwayne Johnson, Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, John Cena, Bruce Pritchard, Eric Bischoff, Jimmy Hart, baby, Bret Hart, Paul Levesque, and the Ringer's David Shoemaker are included in the trailer. So,
Yeah.
this is just a bunch of hubbub nonsense.
Okay. Can I talk to you about documentaries and how I feel about them in 2015?
Are we doing what Andrew think?
What Andrew thinks.
We're doing what Andrew thinks.
I'm really into documentaries.
Same here.
Okay.
Mhm.
I always have been.
Same here.
Always have been. I'm always looking for the next best one.
Okay.
I will tell you something. They all suck now.
Okay.
Every one of them sucks.
Not the
And
last
it
dance.
started with but you know what? The Last Dance was great. But that's sports centric. You know, like give you an example. The Serial documentary.
Okay.
Or Making a Murderer. Right?
Okay.
The Making a Murderer documentary was the nail in the coffin for me.
Okay.
That was the end. When people were arguing that man didn't kill that woman. You know what I mean? The Serial one was also, I don't want to get it, because that became like a whole thing. There was a lot of omission of facts in the doc. I think a documentary needs to be legitimate. It can't be a biased stance.
Did you watch the 1 in a Million Larry David one?
See, like those about like those people, like an actor is fine. Like,
No. The guy he got off for murder because he was at a taping of Curb at Dodger Stadium.
Oh, I did not see that.
It's unbelievable. So this guy got brought in, like he murdered a young woman, and he was like, I was at the game with my daughter, and they were like, you can't prove this. He's like, well, I got tickets. They're like, well, you could have just left. You could have left and murdered this person and come back. He was on a scene in Curb Your Enthusiasm, and you see him on TV, and that's how he got off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so,
great.
Great documentary.
I just watched one that was actually really good. It was really dark and sad, and God, I gotta.
What did you?
I just watched it with
Tiger
Josh.
King. Where do you put that at?
Tiger King was a biased documentary. It made made a complete lunatic of a human being into a babyface, and they tried to sell a story that this woman killed her husband.
Yeah.
With really no. Listen, did it happen? I don't believe so.
You're talking about that bitch Carol Baskin.
That bitch Carol Baskin. Do you know?
You made a whole bit about that.
My wife made a killing during the pandemic with her Etsy shop, and that was one of her best-selling mugs.
That bitch Carol Baskin.
And I still have one.
So good.
On a
it's
Tumblr.
so good. That's how Jonathan emerged from his cocoon. That's how he wedged himself into the show. He was making graphics for
Tiger
us.
King is not a documentary. It was almost like a comedy. This Vince McMahon thing, right?
This is not a documentary. It's a fluff piece.
I don't know. I don't know, because they did bring it up in the trailer, the Janelle Grant lawsuit.
Okay.
They did not call it sex trafficking in there. Listen, and again, I have no position on this story because it's a legal proceeding and I don't know anything about it. I read the complaint. I read that 60-something page complaint.
Awful.
But this is a lawsuit, and there are a lot of sensational words are used. And if true, it's heinous. I have no clue if it is or it's not. I don't know anything about that relationship, so I keep my opinions to myself.
I do feel like it's going to be close to that Bret Hart documentary. Like the way it's just like, or it's kind of like kayfabe and kind of shoot.
I don't want
like
that
in the middle.
And if that's the case, it's going to be a disaster. Now, I was talking about it with Garrett on We're Live, Pal. You know, that other show that I do. Okay. Here's two scenarios this could go down. One, right? It's going to be a lot of stories that wrestling fans know. It's going to be, Vince McMahon, he's a crazy guy, and he made us, and then they're going to show the Trish barking. Yeah. They're going to show him being Mr. McMahon, and the whole thing is going to be presented as, well, you don't know who the real guy is.
Yes.
Is it this or is it this?
I agree with that.
That's my opinion. Or...
Well, they do that with every one of those. Like all the Peacock ones where it's like...
But see, this does not include WWE. This is not a WWE production.
Okay.
The Peacock ones are. The A&E ones are. The Dark Side wasn't, but Dark Side...
They're involved.
Listen, here's a great thing. Why hasn't Dark Side done a special on this yet? Right?
Yeah. But
why haven't they?
Weren't they in WWE's pockets?
No.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I could have sworn something. There was like some kind of tangential relationship.
Nothing.
Okay.
I don't know what to expect. I'm not expecting a lot. I would be really happy if this is a true, real documentary and they deep dive into Vince's personal life. Vince being a part of this kind of makes me think we're not getting that. Or maybe we're just going to get a little bit of it, and he's going to say he's going to deny the accusations, and that'll be it. I don't know how else they could present Vince to a casual audience and tell this story. He's fascinating. This could become a very big documentary for Netflix because a lot of people don't know the story of Vince.
Well, that's another question for you.
Yeah.
So do you think, what's the perception, do you think this is a documentary made for the wrestling fan or made for the general public?
I think it's for the general public.
Because wrestling fans will eat that shit up, you know?
Yeah, but they're also very jaded because they've heard these stories 5,000 times. But, you know, like, I brought up the Ric Flair story, that the plane ride from hell.
Yeah.
Right? That story for 20 some odd years, 22 years, was told in a comedic manner.
Yes.
X-Pac cut Michael Hayes' hair.
The plane door almost open,
serenading, the plane door almost, there was wrestling happening, everybody, JBL almost peed on, not JBL, I'm sorry, Michael Hayes almost urinated on Linda, allegedly, obviously, who knows, right? It's wrestling. And then Ric Flair is in the robe, and he's strutting, and he's flashing. You know, it was always told in that way.
Right.
For 20-something years. Now, and again, I'm not condoning any of the behavior.
Absolutely.
I don't want to be anywhere near that point.
No, not at all.
Okay?
It sounds like a nightmare.
Sounds like a real nightmare.
Yeah.
For 20-something years, that's how it was told. All of a sudden, documentary comes out.
Yep.
And a audience that hasn't watched shoot after interview sees it, and they go, oh my God, this is heinous.
Right.
This man disrobed and allegedly forced himself on
You mean they had a normal human reaction?
They had a normal... Exactly. You know what? Exactly. How dare they have a normal human reaction to...
Oh, this guy took his dick out on a plane.
And somebody was saying, he's like, yeah, but it's Ric Flair. It's Rick, you know, like somebody said this to me. And I go, dude, I'm going to give you an example.
Shoot.
You're on a fucking JetBlue flight. Some senile old man... And again, I'm not knocking, no knock at the character on TV, Ric Flair. I'm talking about people. This crazy old man gets naked and starts, you know, shaking his gyrating and shaking his junk,
emitting noises,
on a stewardess,
wooing.
You're not gonna be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah,
of course you are. Just because the guy's a celebrity.
It's funny until it's not funny.
It's funny until it's not funny, right? And it's not funny when it's real.
Yeah.
That changed the story.
Right.
And rightfully so. Listen, that's crazy stuff. You know, it's crazy stuff. You can make all the excuses you want. Oh, it's, you know, locker room behavior. It's a different time. It's 20-something years ago, and that man was in his 50s.
Yeah.
He's not a frat boy doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's not Jonathan.
I mean, I've seen Jonathan do way worse.
I've seen Jonathan do
in your house.
In my house, yeah.
Like, way worse.
But listen, with that said, I don't know how this is going to be presented. I hope it's presented in a very honest and fair way. I really hope it's not.
I don't think it's going to?
I mean, I guess my point doesn't matter.
It really needs to get it.
Okay, get it out. Get it out before you forget.
Hurry up.
So they just... So here in Michigan, there's a big story, the Michigan spy scandal, Michigan football last year. And they did a documentary on the guy that was supposedly the guy that was spying on these other football programs. And they asked him point blank in the documentary if he did it, and his lawyer edited it. And that was the whole documentary. So his lawyer's like, oh, he can't say that. So why are we doing the documentary? So I'm worried that it's going to be somewhere along those lines. Where
I think it's just going to
dance around it.
They're going to go, it's a 6-piece story. They're going to go into his childhood of
working in the rock quarry,
an abusive house, lived in a trailer, getting in fights, him going to military school or whatever the hell he went to, meeting Linda, and then coming up with WrestleMania. You know, they're going to, and how the promoters wanted to kill him and all this. They're going to do all that. And then they'll go into Janelle Grant. I don't know how much they'll go into it. It's a pending open case.
Well, there's also like the 50-50 side of it. You'll get that. You'll get like that hard luck story of a guy who worked in a rock quarry and found his real dad and like whatever, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get that. And then you're going to probably get peppered in there. Did this guy protect Jimmy Snuka from murder, allegedly?
Well, I hope like, those questions are raised.
Did this guy pay off so-and-so? Did this guy really almost go to jail for steroids? Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of shit to unpack here, you know?
There is, but I don't know if anybody's ever going to get the real story here.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Dude, it's wrestling.
Yeah.
It's wrestling. At the end of the day, it's wrestling. You know, you're never going to get the real story from any of these people. You know, it's wrestling and there's money involved.
If you enjoyed these videos, hit the subscribe button and follow us everywhere podcasts are available.